All of you, hope you guys are great. So in the last video we have completed feeding the data into the index page in all of the components. So if you haven't watched, I'll link in the I button in the description so you guys can follow that. In this video we're going to start working on the property details page. So here I'm into the index.js page. I'm going to simply cut this one, open this one, and come back to the pages. We have this property details, so we have the detail page, and right now from this video we're going to start working on it, or fetching all the logics, building all the logic, fetching the data, so all of the things we're going to do here. So looks pretty fine to me. Now what we can do is come here, we have to import couple of things from React, use state and use effect. So we have these two hooks. Let's come here, we have to import the, let's say, use router, because we have to get the ID of that particular property so we can make a request in our smart contract. So use router, and that's coming from the router. Okay, we have the use router. Let's looks fine to me. Now what we can do, come up here, we have to do the internal import. So we'll say internal import. So I'm really bad with the spelling, so we'll say import, and we can call this one header, because we need the components header, footer, and we have the copy, write, and all of these components are coming from the component. So dash dash will have the slash pages slash component, and now we have to get the actual component for this detail page. So this is coming from the, we have a page component, inside that we have this detail page, in that we have all the components. To come here and we have to get that particular one, so we have to get all of these components. Simply grab that one, and that's what we're going to simply paste here. So paste here, we need all of this component to display in our detail page. Now come here, we have to import the, let's say, so from and component slash component, actually we already have that one, so I don't, so we have to display the loader. Actually we don't have the loader, so what I can do is we have to display the loader. So that's a fairly easy process. What I will do, I will simply remove this one, because we have already here have the component. Now we're going to simply import the loader, and I have noticed that I don't have the loader, so I have to simply minimize it, and I have to drag and drop, come back to the actual one, and here we have the final code. Inside that you will have the client, in that we will have this page component. Inside the page component, this is the folder we have to drag and drop, and this is the entire loader we have to import it here. So we have the loader dash loader copy, and we have to export it from here. So this is the loader we have done, looking fine. So we have done all of these imports. Now we can come up here, we can simply bring it down, and we have to import the, let's say, context. So it's coming from context, and we have to take this use state context. So we have the context, and now we have to simply get the data. We'll say state variable, and once here we have to define a couple of state variables. So the first one is going to be the property, individual property, it's going to be an empty. Then we have to take the another state variable, and this will call the parsed review, and this will be an empty. Then we have to take another one called the properties. We'll get all the properties, and it will be an array. And then we have to take another one, this will call the, let's say, is loading. Initially it will be true, because when we'll display the image, the image will take a little bit time. It will take 3 to 4 seconds to display the image, so we want to initially make it true, our loading for the image, so it will display the loader, and then when we have the data, we can display the data. Okay, now we have to take a couple of more loadings. So this will call the update price loading. We'll have multiple loadings. Initially it will be false, then we'll have another loading, and this will call the comment loading false, and we'll have another one, and this will call, say, buy loading. So we have all of this loader. Now we'll come here, we have to simply get all of this function. So we'll come, say, use state context, and in that we have to simply import the functions. So we'll take the address, we'll take the contract, we'll take the, come here, and we have to go back into the context, and let's try to get it. So let's get all of this one, and we're going to simply get all of this, and we're going to simply take that. Now let's filter this out. So whatever function we need, we're going to keep it, otherwise we're going to remove those unnecessary function from this particular page. So we need not need this one, and we need create property. We don't need this one, you don't need this one, and we don't need this one. This is, and we need this particular one. We'll remove this one and we'll say add like, we need that. We have to get the property reviews, then we have to get the properties. So we need all of these functions. Now we need the get user property, we don't need that. Then we'll say this one we don't need, and don't need this one, and we don't need this as well, and this one as well. So these are the function we need in this particular page. Okay, if we find that we need more, we can definitely come back here. So we'll take this router and we can come up here, and we have to get the router because we have to get the query from the URL so we can make the request to our smart contract. So we'll say get params, or you can say get URL query. We'll say const router, and this is coming from the use router. Once we have the router, we can deconstruct that and we can to take the query. So we'll take the query. Once we have the query, we have to simply call get property data, and here we're going to follow the same structure which we have followed in the index page. So we'll take this fetch property async, and here we have to simply say const data. We'll call this await get property function, and in that we have to pass the query so we can get that property. Once we have that one property data, then we have to simply take this data review. We'll say await, we'll say get product review function, in that we have to pass the ID of the property. Once we have that one, then we have to call data properties await, and we have to call the get properties data. We don't need to pass anything to that. Once we have the data, we have to simply set the data. So we'll say set property is going to be data properties, then we have this set property, will assign this data, and the last one is going to be the review. So we'll say set pass review, and that we're going to pass this data review. So we are getting all of this data and we are setting into our state variable. Looks pretty fine. And here we're going to simply say set loading is to false. Okay, so when we'll reload the browser, or when someone will come to the property details page, it will be in the true, so it will automatically display the loading for the very first time. And once we have the data, we can simply turning it off and we'll display the data. So that looks pretty fine. Now we have to simply call the function. So the same logic we have to build here. So we'll say instant return. We'll say if we have contract, then we have to call the function, and if there is an address or there is a contract change, then we have to make the call. So that looks pretty fine. Now we have to work on the add review functionality. Okay, so we'll call this use state, and we'll take this review. Initially it will be an object because we have to pass couple of data into our smart contract for the review. So we'll say we'll have to pass the product ID, and it will be an empty string. Then we have to pass the rating. By default I will go with 4, you can define whatever you want, and we have to pass the command. So these are the 3 data we are taking for the review. We can come here and we're going to write a small script. So we'll say handled form failed change. So this will reliable for updating this review data. So we'll take this field name, it will take this E, and then we have to simply update that. We'll say this set review, we have to deconstruct the review, and then we have to simply update the field name. So we'll say field name e dot target dot value. That's the simple approach. So that looks pretty fine. So we have this function ready. Now we can come here and we're going to simply call the function. So we're going to build the functions. We'll call it create review. It's going to be an async function, and in that we have to simply take this set loading command to true. Then we have to take a variable called const data. We'll say await, and we have to simply call the function. So we'll say add review function, and in that we have to simply pass all the data. So first we're going to deconstruct the entire review, and then we have to simply update the product ID, and the product ID we have in the query. Okay, you can take it from the query or you can take it from the product, so you have both the options. So we'll say product property product ID. Okay, you can take that from the product. Right now we are taking this from so right now we are taking this from the property, but you can take that from query as well. You have both the options, so looking pretty fine. Now we can simply turn off the loading state. So this is the review create review function we have. Now let's come here. Now we have to work on other function, so we'll say like review, and it will take this use state and it will have the like review. In that we have to pass couple of things, so we'll take this property ID and we have to take the reviewer review index, because every single review will have a unique index. And we also have a bug in this particular function in the smart contract. We're going to fix that in the updated contract. Okay, but for the time being, let's go like this. So this is the state variable we have taken for the review like review function, and now we have to work on the functionality. So we'll say const like review call, and it's going to be an async function. The same logic we have to follow here. So first we have to make it true. So we'll say data await like functions, and that we have to pass the entire data. So first we'll deconstruct that, and then we have to simply pass the data, the product ID, and that's what we have in this. So this is the one which is ready and looking absolutely fine. So now after someone like the review, we have to reload the browser. So we'll say window location dot reload, and that's will happen very quickly. So we are done with this entire functionality. This is the get, this is the add review, this is the handle, this is the create, and this is the like, and this is the like review function. And now we have to work on the last function, which is a buy property. So we need to take the data, so we'll say buy buying, and in that we have to define the data. So the data will have the this, like we'll have the product ID we have to pass, and that will we have here product ID property ID. Now we have to pass the amount. So these are the two data we are passing. So don't be confused, sometime I'm saying product ID, sometime I'm saying property ID. Okay, so don't be confused, we are talking about the ID, and we have to pass the price. So these are the data we have to pass into this buying. That looks fine. Now we can come up here and we'll take the function. So we'll say buying property, we'll say async, and we have to simply update the data. First thing we have to work on the loading. Once we make it true, then we have to simply call the contract function. So we'll say buying property function, and that we have to pass the entire object, the buying data, and that looks pretty fine. And once we have that, we have to simply make it false once we get the transaction successful. And now we can come up here, we can simply say update pricing, because we have to allow the user to update their pricing. So we'll take this variable called use state, and we have to say update property price, and it's going to be an object. We have to take the property ID, and that's what we have here in the property ID. Once we have the property ID, we have to take the price, the new amount. So that's the price we have. Now we can come up here and we have to work on the function which allows us to update the price. So we'll say update property and price await async functions, and we have to say we have to simply turn on the loading states to true. Then we have to make the call to the contract. So we'll say await update. Come here, what we have called here, actually we haven't imported the function. So what I will do, I'll come over here and let me find the function. So this is the function we have, update price functions. Come back here, and that's what we're going to call it here. Simply copy, and that's what we have to paste here, and then we have to simply pass the data. So we're going to simply deconstruct the entire property data. We'll say update property price, and then we have to simply update the pricing. So what I will do here now, once we have deconstruct that, we have to take this property ID, and that's what we have to simply pass here, property ID. So that looks pretty fine, and then we have to change the loading state to false. So this is the update property function we have, and then we have to simply reload the browser. Looks pretty fine. So we are done with this entire function. This one is also looking fine. This one is buying. This one is buying, like, create, handle, and this is also add review, and this is the fetch. So all of the things are looking absolutely fine. So I believe that whatever we have done so far, that's making sense to all of you guys, and you can understand that how everything is coming together. So we have done with the entire functionality. Now we have to call the component. So let's come up here, let's provide a class, and this will say template color 1, and we have to say nft body color connect, sorry. So this is the entire class we have. Now we have to simply pass all the components. So we have to take the header, we have to take the, simply come up here, details 1, we have to take the detail 2, we have to take the another component, this is called detail 3, detail 5, detail, then we have to take the detail 6, and then we have to take detail 7, and the last is detail 8, and after that we have to add the regular component, which is the footer and the copyright. So we have all of these components looking fine. Now let's come back here, and now what we can do is let's click on the property. So just wait, it's coming. Here we are. Now if you click on that, you will be redirected to the detail page, and you will find that all these things are working fine. Okay, we got an error. Okay, so this is the error. I have to remove this one. Come back here, this is the mistake I have done. Simply remove this one, and this will work fine. This will fix the issue. Reload the browser, and you can see everything is working fine. We have all the images, all the demo datas. All we have to do is to feed the actual data. All of the things we have, and looking absolutely perfect. Now we're going to simply feed the actual data into this component. So we have this report here. We're going to add all of the functions. So let's come up here, and that's the only thing I want to cover in this video. I hope you guys have understood that how we are building the logic and what we have done. So try to watch the video one more time. That will give you a better understanding, and once you understand, then only move to the next video. So let's move to that.